Hey everyone, welcome again to my channel. Today I'm taking you with me to another event, another fantasy event, one that people who follow my channel are quite familiar with, because today I'm taking you with me to MysteriA 2024. But before we dive into the fantasy vibes, if you're new to my channel, hi, welcome to Quillscene. My name is Megan. If you like things that have to do with writing, with reading, with books, with geeky stuff, with witchy stuff, with anything like that actually, then you're in the right place. Make sure to click on the magical subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell, because on that way you'll always get a notification whenever I upload a new video. But yeah, it's time to get our cosplays on. We're going to MysteriA 2024. As I said, MysteriA is actually one of the events that has become an repeated event in our yearly schedule of the Writers Collective, which is my writing group. It is a fantasy fair in Aarschot. It is hosted at the Domain called Elzenhof, which is like a big park behind the school, and in the middle of the park is also a building that is actually the music school. Only problem sometimes with MysteriA is it is hosted at the beginning of May, and that period of time, well, to be honest, any time in Belgium, you either have sunshine or you either have rain. There is even not in between, because even if it's grey and it's not raining, you know that it will rain at one part of the day. So sadly, the past few editions were quite rainy and muddy, and spoiler, this edition wasn't any different, sadly. But yeah, going back to the beginning, as I said, MysteriA is a fantasy event. It started as just a weekend event, being Saturday and Sunday. The last few, I think 2 years, they added a nocturne on Friday evening. That is optional for the vendors, because of course a lot of people still have to work on Friday, or people that come from the Netherlands or from the French speaking part of Belgium. For those, it's quite a long drive, so they don't always get to set up on Friday, or already go to the event on Friday. But actually setup was allowed to do on starting on Thursday or Friday before the event started, the nocturne started, or even Saturday morning. But then you had like a really, really small window. So as usual, since Aarschot isn't that far from my mom and me, it's like about half an hour drive, we decided to go, now I have to kind of take a peek. We decided on Thursday the 2nd of May, so the day before the nocturne, to drive up to Aarschot to already set up the tents on our tempo and also put the tables in place. That was a good thing we did that, because normally standard in our car is like 3, maybe 4 tables and 2 tents that fit into the car. When it's an outside event, that is. But for MysteriA, we usually do 3 tents, and then of course we need more tables. Now luckily, Dimitri Balcaen, who is one of the writers from my Writers Collective, was also going to join us, and he also has tables. So he said, don't worry about the extra tables, I will bring mine too. But of course, that still left us with, another tent. So eventually it took us 2 trips to get all the material to the event location. And eventually we arrived at 11:30 a.m. on Thursday, and then of course had to get all the material out of the car, already set up a few of the tents so that the material that we had brought on our first drive over was standing dry in case it started to rain, because that happened before too, while were doing setup like the day before. It started to rain very heavily. This time, luckily, we kept it dry, at least when we were setting up, because later that evening it still rained. But yeah, eventually it took us until 4 p.m. to get everything to the event location, setting up the tents, making sure that the tents were sturdy and were also hooked to the ground so that they couldn't, fly off whenever there was a gust of wind. And then also put the tables correctly, make sure there was electricity, stuff like that. So yeah, that what we did on Thursday. And then on Friday the 3rd of May, the nocturne started at 6 p.m. and it was until 11 p.m. As I said, it was actually an optional day for the vendors. It was also a free day, so you didn't have to pay extra booth money for your booth to have to open up that day. It was like it's an extra day, an extra moment actually. And as a vendor, you're not you don't have to open up your booth, because as I said, a lot of people still work on Friday, and a lot of people still had to arrive from the Netherlands or stuff like that. So still, we usually take part in the nocturne, and my mom and me were part of the setup of the booth that evening, together with Mathias Maho, Jana Bollens and Dimitri Balcaen. Fun thing was, as I said, the nocturne was on the 3rd of May, so it was in the dark, and as you probably saw if you watched I think 2 videos back, I bought a lightsaber at Facts. So I decided to take, I basically plotted together with Matthias, because Matthias had a lightsaber from Disneyland Paris. So we had agreed to take our lightsabers with us so we could, do some lightsaber training in the dark on the evening of, on Saturday it would be May the 4th, so that we could, take some footage and make fun pictures, as you will probably, I will try to put a picture in here, of, us doing, having fun with our lightsabers. It was very fun. We also drew a lot of attention of the kids that came to ask if they could try also with our do some fighting with our lightsaber. Of course, we're speaking about beginning of May, which was also the peak hype of the dancing raccoon with the Pedro, Pedro, Pedro. So you will see us dancing on that too in the footage. But as I said, it was until 11 p.m. And then we were allowed to go home, though there was still fire acts and even music and campfire. But those were mostly for the people who were on from the cosplay camps, because MysteriA is also a big cosplay event, with a few campments from steampunk, from pirates, Celts. They also had the Scots there, so that was very, very fun. But as I said, the real event actually started on Saturday the 4th of May, and the hours there were 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. The setup of the booth changed a bit, being that it was still me, my mom, who did the magical treasures part of our booth with the display potions and such, Mathias, Jana and Dimitri, but we got also the reinforcements of Vanessa Gerrits and Pen Stewart. And on Sunday it was from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. But me and the setup there again changed a bit because it was again me, my mom, Mathias, Jana, Dimitri. But Vanessa and Pen only could come on Saturday. So on Sunday, Petra Doom and Jelmer Palman from Heroes on Paper, who makes his own D&D adventures, joined us. As I said, it was, well, technically a 3-day event for us, a full day event with the setup. The lightsaber battles on Friday evening were a lot of fun. Also the Pedro dancing, again, you will see it in the footage, I promise you. Sadly, it rained a lot on Sunday, though the rain did, the negative vibes of the rain did clear up a bit because Pepsi, the bearded dragon, again, you will see it in the footage, came to visit us together with her brother Coca. On Sunday, it was luckily a sunny day. What else can I tell you? Again, something you will also see in the footage is Dimitri is not only a writer, but sometimes he has crazy ideas. And one of those ideas is that he has thought up a new game for a card game. And he has the prototype of it with him at MysteriA. So a few of our supporters came to play test it at the booth. There was also a sword fighting demo, and of course we had a lot of encounters with old friends, and of course met new readers. I think I babbled enough for now, so let's roll the footage. 3 days of MysteriA magic. As I said, it was a bit of everything, you know, the nocturne with the fun lightsaber battles, the rainy Saturday where we would sink away in the mud on the event terrain. Sunday, even though it was sunny, we still were sinking away in the mud because, of course, Saturday it rained so much that even with the sun on Sunday, the ground just couldn't dry up. But yeah, it's kind of like the curse of MysteriA a bit. But we take as it comes. We take it as it comes, and we had still a lot of fun. And of course, you probably see it already. We also did some shopping. First of all, the thing I'm going to start with is not actually something I bought, but something I got from my colleague author, Jana Bollens. She is, next to a very talented writer, also a very, very talented artist when it comes to drawing. And she was reading by that point already, or not, or just like, well, we were talking about our characters, and in one of my books, Music Academy, I have like a cute little dragon called Yura, who loves baking and drinking tea. And a few weeks before MysteriA, we were talking about that during a chat online. And then suddenly she sent me a pic of that she had quickly sketched out Yura. And at MysteriA, she gave me said drawing. I'm going to take it out of the protector. So this is a sketch she did in like 15 minutes or something. And it is like Yura to a T. It's like a little dragon that loves baking, that loves drinking tea. There is a little teapot on the background. She loves hosting tea parties. And yeah, now I have a cool original Jana Bollens fan art of Yura. I love it so much. I love it that whenever I get fan art from my books, because yeah, as a writer, it's one of the biggest compliments that you get, but it's also always like yeah, a secret dream, I think, because I myself, as a teenager, I wrote a lot of English fan fiction from Harry Potter, from Percy Jackson, from different shows and movies and stuff like that, and books. And it was always like my little dream of one day when I write a book, I hope people will also, you know, make fan art, be it fan fiction or drawings of my characters, of my books. And I realized later that, like, in my Music Academy universe is basically the perfect universe to write fan fiction about, because it's basically an open world, bit like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, where you can easily create your own character and put it in the world, and then you can choose if you let it interact with the actual characters or even just make up your own characters in said world. So yeah, I was very happy when I started receiving fan art. Fun thing is, all the fan art I got so far is all of Yura. This was, I think, the third drawing of Yura I got, and I can tell you now, by now, because again I'm filming this voiceovers months after the event, the Yura fan art folder has adopted a few other pieces, but yeah, this one is the drawing Jana made for me. I'm going to put it there so I don't wrinkle it. Then there was a very fun booth called Eyeball Studios, and that is from someone who is very passionate also about Dungeons and Dragons, but he also loves making like the miniatures and the props that you usually use during Dungeons and Dragons and cosplay and stuff like that. He had a lot of fun props. But one of the things that immediately drew my attention, because again, I'm a writer, were his set of notebooks. It is a problem, my collection of notebooks, because I have like an entire trolley full, like, you know, the trolleys that most people use to put their TBR in or something like that. I have one of those solely for my empty notebooks. It is a problem, as I said. Well, my mom calls it a problem, I call it a collection. But yeah, I try to always like carefully select a notebook whenever I have a new story idea to, you know, put all the plotting and stuff like that in. But I don't think I'm going to ever write in this one. So this is the notebook, and he made basically the cover. Yeah, that's his handiwork. So it's a really cool, it's a fully functional, it's just an empty notebook. You can write in it, you can draw in it. Also very good for taking notes, like for Dungeons and Dragons quests. The edges of the notebook itself have a little bit of a metallic gleam on it. But the thing that sold me the most was that it has like this little lock that isn't actually a lock, but is like with a magnet. So it has like this little strap, so you can actually like close the notebook, you know, with the magnet thingy. So yeah, I'm not sure if I ever will write in it, but it looked so cool. He also had a few of like the Marauders map with the eye of Mad-Eye Mooney. I think he even had like the book from Hocus Pocus with the eye. He had one of those too. So yeah, it was really cool, but I bought this one. And yeah, I think it will be a fun prop on one of my, well, on my bookshelf somewhere. So yeah, I bought this. Then next to Eyeball Studios at the same booth was his partner, and she sold actually kind of geeky stuff related to fandoms. And one of the things that she sold, she both sold things she made herself, but also things she bought from other creators. And then she sold it further. And one of the things were like these little wooden planks with a quote burnt into it, like with pyrography. And then in the middle of the quote, yeah, like you had a line here and a line here. And in the middle of the little wooden plank, you would have like a figure made out of Fimo clay. Don't know how you pronounce it in English. In Dutch we call it Fimo clay. And she had one of Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas. And my mom is a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan, so she bought that one. And it's now hanging in our hallway. So I'm going to try to insert a picture here. So mom bought that. Then there was also a booth that sold candles that smelled very, very nice. And are like these big candles in a glass container, a see-through container. And on the top they had a really beautiful flower on it. And since it was close to Mother's Day here in Belgium, plus it's also, May is also my mom's birthday month, and she really liked those candles, I bought her one. This one is sitting on our kitchen counter. No, it's somewhere in the kitchen. Again, I'll post a picture because I'm a bit too lazy to get up and go get the candle now, because I still have a lot to show you guys. Then, of course, there were, again, a lot of booths that sold gemstones, but fun-shaped gemstones. If you saw my previous vlog about the spiritual market, you know that my mom always tells me, her child, the practicing witch, no, you don't need more stones, you have enough of those at home. And then we come to an event where they, you know, sell beautiful gemstones, and I have to resist buying them, only to discover an hour later that my mom bought them. Mostly for me, but still. So one of the booths that sold gemstones had a lot of fun shaped ones. And if you know my mom, she also loves stones, because actually something that I inherited from her, because back in the day when she went on holiday, she would collect like stones too, but just from nature. But she also loves gemstones, so yeah, it runs in the family. But my mom also loves dragons a lot, and they had beautiful gemstones carved, like small ones, middle ones, and a bit bigger ones of dragon heads. And now I'm thinking, was this fluorite or something else? I don't know. You have to clean it up a bit, because there are lavender flowers also in the dried lavender flowers in the baggie. I forgot which stones it is. I always think it's fluorite, but it was another stone, because it was a harder kind of stone, but I forgot the type of stone. But yeah, it's like this really cool green with white and even a bit of like rusty brownish red in it. And it's shaped like a dragon's head. So yeah, my mom got that one. And then he also had like an entire table with like these wooden square boxes. And there he had like tiny figures, again gemstones, shaped like Pokemon, like Disney figures. And yeah, I'm wearing him on my t-shirt. And I saw that he also had a little Stitch. So I got a blue Stitch. It's not lapis lazuli, because it would have been way, well, it was I think like €5 for this one. So if it was real lapis lazuli, it would have been not that cheap. But yeah, he had them in all sorts of colors, of course, because gemstones come in all sorts of colors, but of course I needed a blue one. So again, don't know which gemstone it is, but I have a matching Stitch. So yeah, we got those one, and as I said, this is his card. I'll show that too. And he has, like in every baggie that he puts his gemstones in for, that gets sold, there are like dried lavender flowers in there. I love that, because it smells good and it helps you sleep. I love sleep. But yeah, I'm going to put them in again, because then I have to remove the flowers again from all the crevices from the dragon. So that's that. Then one of the booths that are also frequent vendors at MysteriA, and we also meet them at other events like Facts, I think. I don't know if they do Facts, but they do Elftopia and stuff like that, is Avoltea. And Avoltea is a very fun shop that sells replica weapons, that sells handmade jewelry, but with like steampunk fantasy vibes. And I was looking for a long time for a beautiful little tiara, and this is the one I chose. It has like a little leaf hanging in the center, and then you have like iridescent pearls, and it's basically a tiara that you put in like a diadem, but instead of putting it on your head like so, you basically place it on your forehead and then slide it into your hair, and you have like a little tiara, a bit of Tauriel and Galadriel vibes from Lord of the Rings. I really like that one. And as I said, they also sell replica weapons. So I saw this dagger. It's not, I think, an official licensed Lord of the Rings dagger, but it has like a bit of writing on it that reminds me of the Elvish. And you can pull it out, and it has like a really, I don't know if you can see it well because it's very shiny. It has like a beautiful little squiggly, yeah, and also again more like the elvish like writing on the blade. I really liked it, and it fit with my cosplay of the day back then. So yeah, I got myself a dagger too. And then I did some damage. Well, not really damage. I completed my collection of the books of my fellow authors that I didn't have yet. Starting off with Vanessa Gerrits. Vanessa and I go way back by now. I actually met her through even when my book wasn't published yet, when I was still writing it. I didn't even have a publisher yet at that point. When I started with my book blog, because I was blogging about books to already, you know, start a base in case my book got ever published. And that's how I eventually met Vanessa, because Vanessa also had a book blog at that point. And when her first book got published, I went to the book presentation, which was my first visit which was my first book presentation ever, actually. But back then she wrote just fantasy, because she has a really beautiful fantasy trilogy called the Vleugels trilogy, or the Wings trilogy in English, but there are no English translations of it yet. And I don't think they will ever come, but yeah, it was a really beautiful and fun trilogy about basically angels and fallen angels, and that in an urban fantasy world. But now she doesn't really write fantasy anymore, but she writes more feel-good. And one of the stories that she wrote she self-pubbed that actually, is this book. It's called in Dutch Op het slappe koord, or translated to English. Now I have to really think so it's basically a play on the rope dancer, but it's like on the weak cord, well, on the weak rope, literally translated. And it's actually a feel-good about it's set in a circus. It's about a young woman who lost everything, who has a lot of emotional baggage, and decides, you know what, screw this life, I'm going to circus. And she joins the circus, and that's where she goes to work as like to sell tickets. She works at the ticket booth, but of course she meets all the circus people, and then it's a chicklet. It's feel good. Normally it's not my genre, but my mom loves reading stuff like this, aside from fantasy. So I basically bought it for her, and also of course to support Vanessa, and she also signed it for the mom of the collective, which is my mom. So I got mom this one actually. And then, not at our booth, but a few booths down from us, was also Raya. Raya Schaduwjaagster, or Raya Shadow Hunter, I think you could call her. Translated, it's also a pseudonym. Raya I know also through MysteriA. She is present, I think, from the start also. Her daily job, she works at the library, but since a few years she also writes stories. And she started with her first book called Phoenixliedjes, Heksen en Ruimteschepen, or translated literally in English, it would be Phoenix Lights, Witches and Spaceships. If I'm not mistaken, it's like, is it an entire story, or is it like different small stories in the same universe? I don't know yet. But yeah, I didn't have her book yet, and this one was actually on my wish list for a while now, because I had seen it in the store, in the bookstore a few times, but I always said I'm going to wait until I see Raya at MysteriA, because then I can score a book from her stash, from her personal stash, because then, just between you and me, when you buy a book directly from an author, they end up with a little bit more money in their pocket than when you buy it through a store or through the publisher. Why? Because when a book is bought through the big circus, to be on team with the previous book, of a bookstore or through a publisher, it's not like the author gets like a fifth or something of the price. No, then the sale is basically registered under their royalties. Royalties is basically the wage that an author gets paid out once a year. And that usually lies between 80 cents and €1 per book. However, when you buy a book directly from the author, most authors have their own stash, because they, as the author, they usually have an agreement with their publisher that they can buy their own books in from the publisher, but at an more cheaper price, usually around like 30, sometimes 40% less than the actual selling price. But of course they still have to sell it at the selling price that was agreed on. So on that way, the author still has a little bit more money than that 80 cent or €1 per book. So yeah, I wanted this one, so she signed me this one. But by the time I saw her at MysteriA, also the second part came out. And this is called Phoenix Lichtjes, Halve Wereld en Kleine Wereld. Translated to English, Phoenix Light, Half World and Little World. And this is basically the second part of the chronicles, I think, of Phoenix Lights. I really love the fact that there are like 3 cat heads on it. If I'm not mistaken, the cats come in the story because Raya herself has also a few rescue cats that usually are sitting in her van as she is present at events. So yeah, I got those, and that were I think my last purchases of MysteriA 2024. Okay, that was a long video, but of course we had 3 event days. But we got to the end. As I said, it was a very busy weekend. Also a weekend that gave us everything: rain, sun, muddy boots, a lot of laughter, that especially. But yeah, I think that was it for this video. If you liked it, please leave a thumbs up or a comment down below. It helps me a lot. Well, it helps me more than you know, because things like that help my channel grow. And of course, I love your feedback. And I hope to see you guys soon for another bookish, magical, probably on the go video. Bye!